Well, in the end, I think that boycotting the Invictus game service or snubbing Harry, really, which is what really that is, the snubbing of Harry, I think that Charles and Camilla believe it makes them look powerful. It makes them look like they are in a position of power. It makes them look like they're calling the shots. It makes them look like, Harry is insignificant. I think that's how they are reading the tea leaves, that by snobbing Harry, it makes the House of Windsor look big. It makes the House of Windsor look important and formidable and above, small people, insignificant people like Harry and certainly Meghan. It makes it, I think they think that snubbing Harry makes them look like they are so unadulterated and they are avoiding mess. They see Harry and Meghan as mess. Mess that possibly is even worse than Andrew's mess, because they equate, if not worse, Harry marrying a woman like Meghan to a criminal act, like what Andrew did. You see, Andrew was accused or has been accused of certain sexual improprieties with minors. This is a crime, right? And so he was defrocked of his HRH. He no longer is a senior working royal, and so on and so forth. I mean, he's been publicly flogged. Nobody wants anything to do with him. He's a criminal in their minds, That's not me saying that that's what the data suggests. Likewise, Harry is also a criminal, based on the reaction of the senior head of the royal family, King Charles, and prior to him, his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, for marrying a woman like Meghan, a woman who does not pass muster as far as her ethnicity, as far as her nationality, and yeah, as far as just her status, she's not a virgin. She was not, this was her second marriage, obviously, so she's a divorced woman marrying Harry. She's older than Harry, but those are minor things compared to the fact that, she's black, and that makes her presumptively unqualified and disqualified from being an aristocrat in the British royal family. The British monarchy has held its place as the arbiter of who is superior in this society, who is supreme, who is at the top of the human hierarchy and who's at the bottom and who's not even on the ladder, for centuries, right? And black is not on the ladder. And this is not me saying that. This is historically how it has been. We all know it, right? We'd all like to say that, oh, nya, 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 nya. But the facts are the facts, ma'am. And you see the remnants of that with how these countries like the UK continue to deal with countries in Africa as if they're dealing with people they own like chattel, as if the countries and the governments and the people are theirs for their deciding, because again, they stitched Nigeria together, or they stitched countries in Africa together and decided on boundaries and frontiers and so on. So they really feel like they are the big guys, and all these black countries are children or worse, right? To be commanded by them and their cohorts in the international community. And certainly, people with black DNA are not in their minds equal to people like them. They are blue bloods. They're people. And what's going on in Africa is a whole other thing, according to their seeming opinion. So when you have a member of the British royal family, the British aristocracy, the very hierarchy of British society, bringing home a woman for marriage whose mother literally has dreadlocks and, black skin, albeit she has a father with quote unquote white skin. I mean, nobody's white, not even King Charles and Camilla, by the way. I mean, his hair is white. It's a different color to his skin. I think we can all see that. Um, you know, but did they think they're white? Okay, whatever. But you bring home somebody like Meghan, it's a mess. It's presumptively a mess in their eyes. It's more than a mess. It's criminal, right? It's equal to, or even in some cases, it exceeds what Andrew did, because Andrew, even though he's no longer an HRH, he's still in the family. He still has his house, his mansion, his castle. They still pay for it. He still has his horses. He still has his lifestyle. He still can go to church with them on Easter Sunday. I mean, nothing really has changed except that he doesn't work, right? So he just gets his money to get his money. He doesn't have to work to earn it anymore. That's all that happened. And of course, he has been demoted on the website. In Harry's case, he's not only just been demoted on the website. I mean, we all know exactly what has happened to him and who did it. This man here, King Charles, and his wife, Camilla. I have to face it. I have to stop, romanticizing this and say it as it is. These two people are terrible, terrible people, right? And what they have done to Harry is terrible. But now, by snobbing the Invictus Games, they really feel like the British people and the international community will applaud them for it, because the Invictus Games in their minds is headed by a man who is tantamount to a criminal because of who he married. He's like a lowlife, and he's now the head of the Invictus Games, and they can't be associated with that because they're so good, they're so clean, they're so pure, they're so superior, right? But I think differently. I mean, I think that by snobbing well, first of all, I don't think that Harry is tantamount to a criminal for marrying Meghan. I think Meghan has made Harry even bigger than he was as the son of this man, because Harry was just a lowly spare when she met him, and now she turned him into a king. He is His Royal Highness, and he has earned his creds as His Royal Highness. He's an independent man doing amazing things on the global stage, including Invictus. And by snubbing Invictus, they're basically not only snubbing Harry, they're also snubbing British veterans, right? And so, to me, all other nation states have embraced Invictus, including Germany, as was noted in a recent article in the Daily Beast, including the Dutch king, right? Including the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, right? Including the Nigerian government, who wants to host these games, and so many other countries whose servicemen participate in these games around the world, the entire global community. And so for me, I think that by snobbing the Invictus Games, these two have shown conclusively that they're a bunch of lowlifes. Charles and Camilla are a bunch of lowlifes. They are very, very small-minded people. Very small. They are racist. I said it, voila. And that's my opinion. I'm sticking to it, because what they have against Harry is his wife. And what they have against his wife is not her skin color, because her skin color is the same color as theirs, right? So if they're white, she's white, because Charles is not white. His hair may be white, maybe, so whitish gray, but his skin certainly isn't. He looks kind of more pink to me, and pink is not white, right? They made up this construct in the British royal family, the monarchy, back in the 16th and 17th century, to present themselves as superior to somebody's inferior, to present an oppositional binary relationship between people of European ancestry and people of African ancestry, because they needed to justify slavery and what they did to those people they met, and how they took everything from them, including their human definition, right? But if Charles is white, in fact, Meghan is white. So he's not against Meghan because of her skin color or even her hair or anything like that, right? Because she obviously took a lot from her father's gene pool. They're against Meghan because they know that no matter how she looks on the outside, somewhere inside, she has African genes and African DNA hidden somewhere in her gene pool. And just knowing it's in there is enough to make her presumptively disqualifying to these racist people, right? That's really what it is. And so that's what they have against Meghan. It's just knowing it's in there. And that's why so many people who have African ancestry cried foul in the international community, because it's not that we don't know that Meghan is very light-skinned and she has lived a very Caucasian lifestyle, and she identifies more with her Caucasian side. There's no question about it. You see it in her life, you see it in her past, you see it in everything. But we cried foul because we know that if you rejected someone like Meghan just because you know she has DNA like ours deep somewhere inside of her that you can't even see topically, what the hell do you think about us, right? And then you're going to talk about Commonwealth as if you care anything about anybody in the Commonwealth. Yes, you care about us to entertain you like we're a bunch of, I don't even know what to call it, right? So you can laugh and snicker under your breaths, but you don't think of us as equals, God forbid, or even frankly human. And you see it as a criminal act or tantamount to a criminal that your son married someone with African DNA deep in her gene pool, deep in her in her cells that you can't even see, right? You reject her for that reason. Yet those of us who you can totally see are African or African origin, you're talking about we're members of your Commonwealth. No, we're not. And you reject Harry because of that. And it makes you so small, so ignorant, so racist, so petty, so undeserving, frankly, to be called a king and queen. There, I said it. Voila.